Okay, okay, I can see, I can see. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Can you hear me, guys? Am I audible to everyone? Hello, everyone. Good evening. Am I audible? Guys, everyone on the YouTube chat, am I audible to you guys? Can you hear me? And also, can you see my Windows screen, everyone? Okay, now I can see the replies here. Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, all of you. And I welcome you to your essential session again. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So, for all the people who don't know me, first of all, I'll introduce myself. So, I think this is your fifth session. So, guys, I've already introduced yourself. Okay. So, I'll introduce myself first. So, if you don't know me, my name is Saurabh Gupta, and I'm by profession a full stack developer. And I work with Let's Upgrade, and I teach you people. So, here I am teaching you again JavaScript. So, I hope you guys are excited to learn it with me, everyone. Please let me in the chat because we are going to do pretty cool things in the next 2 days. That is today and tomorrow. We are really going to do pretty cool things. And I'm really happy to see you guys, everyone. I'm really happy. I'm really happy. Good evening, guys. Good evening. Okay. So first of all, I need to know that how much JavaScript like have you guys learned till now? So like have you guys learned the programming essentials? Like, do you know how loop works, how array works? Because see, I have like seen the 4 videos before this session a little. So I just want to know how much you have learned. Okay, everyone. So please let me know like how much you have learned. Do you know loops? Do you know conditions? Can anyone like write in one statement that whatever you have learned, like loops, conditions, and every stuff, or some kind of DOM manipulation? So have you like also like have you guys started with DOM manipulation? Everyone? Okay, we know loop and array. Cool. So looping is done. That's cool. That's really cool. And okay, I think arrays and objects. What about arrays and objects? Is the objects concept done? And have you guys started with DOM manipulation, like the main work of JavaScript? So have you guys started with DOM manipulation? Okay, so arrays, loops, and conditions are completed. That's really cool. That means we don't have to learn the basics again. Okay, we started programming in VS Code. Okay, that's cool. No with DOM not started. That's cool. So now we are going to try to make the best of the next 2 days, that is today and tomorrow, and we are going to learn some pretty cool things about what JavaScript actually does. And if we complete like the things that I have planned you for today, then we'll create a very simple but a really good looking and working project tomorrow. So are you guys excited to create the projects with me? And don't worry about DOM and everything. I'm going to explain you everything. What exactly is DOM and how it works and what is like the role, the exact role of JavaScript and everything. And I'm going to answer all your questions. So don't worry, everyone. But basics are done. So that's really cool that the basics are done. So I don't have to focus on that if conditions and variables. So we can directly start, right, guys, everyone? Okay, that's cool then. That's cool. So now, first of all, like before starting, I just simply want to ask you a few questions before like we move in. So just like I just want to clear how much you know from the last 4 days. So I just want to ask few questions. So 1 or 2 questions, that's all. So the first question is, what is DOM? You guys have heard of it? Whatever you know, tell me. Don't worry about the wrong answers, right answers. Just tell me whatever you know because I'm going to explain you to again if you don't know about it. So just tell me what exactly is DOM. Come on. What is DOM? And for the softwares and everything, we're going to use the same thing. I'm going to use VS Code as my coding editor, and I'm going to use Chrome as my browser. Okay, cool. So now you guys tell me what is DOM. Everyone, come on. Document object model. Don't worry, Ankita. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll do everything. Document object model. So that's the full form. Yes, correct. Document object model is the full form. Now, what exactly is it? Can you explain in like in just one line, like other than the full form? Like document object model is the full form. So whatever you know, understand about it. I want that, not the full form. I want to understand whatever you have understood about it. What exactly is that? Because see, JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language. The main role of JavaScript is to manipulate the DOM. So we have to make sure that we know what is DOM first. Okay, we make objects from the program. We make object from the program, built a web page dynamic, standard of accessing document. Document object model is used to access HTML, CSS using JavaScript. Yep, now that's the correct answer. That's what I wanted. Shakti Patole and Ankit Gudling has given some answers. That is a tree structure. Okay. So for all the guys who don't know about it, or like have difficulty in understanding it, don't worry. I'm going to tell you what exactly it is. Okay. So let's start. Let's start with it. So, okay, I just closed my browser. So again, we're going to use VS Code. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is for your lectures, I am going to create a folder. And one more thing, guys, manipulating the documents is not DOM. DOM is a thing. Okay. Manipulating the document is not DOM. That's manipulation. Okay. So let me do one thing first. Let me just create a folder for you where we'll store everything that we are going to create in the next 2 days. So let's name it JS-ESS. So that is JS Essential. So I'm going to name it this. Okay. And then in the VS Code, I'm going to open the same folder. So let's do it. File, open folder, and let's open our folder that we want to work with. So let's go here. What are the prerequisites to work on VS Code? I think nothing. If you know how to use Notepad, then VS Code will also be easy for you. Guru Shanta, there's no prerequisite for using VS Code. You start with it actually. A lot of people start with VS Code. So there's no prerequisite actually for VS Code. Okay, so let's open the JS Essential folder and let's cover the basic things like a little quickly. So let's try to understand what exactly is DOM. Then I'm going to tell you what exactly is DOM manipulation. Then we are going to actually start with DOM manipulation. I'm going to teach you how actually you can use JavaScript to start manipulating the DOM. And if we get time, we're also going to build something really cool. So let's do it. So now the first thing is I'm simply going to create an HTML folder. So I'm going to name it HTML file. And I really hope that you guys already know how to do it. So I simply created a HTML file. That's all. And then I'm also going to create a JS page. So here we go, an index.js. So basically it's a JS file where we're going to write all our JS. Now, also one more thing. Do you guys know how to link HTML and JS, everyone? I'm assuming that you guys know a little bit, right? About how to create the file and everything because you have been here 4 days, right? So I hope you guys know how to link HTML and JS, right, everyone? And don't worry, I'm going to show you that as well. So don't worry about it. Okay. We have to submit the project and assignment section. Yes, Sai Santosh. Yep. So once I create the project tomorrow, then you have to create the same project by making some changes. I'll tell you what to make, and then you can submit it in the attendance form, or you can also submit on the community. So don't worry about it. Okay. So now let's prepare the HTML document first. Okay. And here we go. HTML5. I really hope that you guys know how it like came up, right? It's a simple thing in VS Code. You simply start writing HTML and here we go. We get options. So simply go to HTML5 and here we go. Now see, in this case, we don't need this meta tags and don't worry about them right now. You don't need them. So simply remove them. And here's your normal HTML document, the basic HTML document. Okay. Now, don't worry about like, if you don't know how to link it, I'm going to show you how to link your HTML and JS. Don't worry. Now, let me do one thing. Let me run this page for you. Okay, let me run this page for you. So right click, copy the path. So you can right click on the HTML page, copy the path, and then go in your favorite browser. So I'm going to open a Chrome tab here. So you can open your Mozilla or IE, but I'll suggest you to use Chrome because first of all, IE doesn't support JavaScript in that greater way. And Chrome is the best, right? Yes, we know that it takes a little memory, but that's fine. Chrome is the best browser right now going on. So open your Chrome, paste it, the path, and here we go. A good looking white page. We have it here. That's cool. Now, so we have the HTML page running. Now, let's try to understand what exactly is DOM. Okay, and few people have answered it correctly. So that's fine. Sir, can you discuss a bit about yesterday's assignment? I have a confusion on it. Don't worry. I think I saw it. What sir like gave you the assignment. So don't worry. I'm going to see it and we are going to create it. Don't worry. I'm going to show you how to extract the input fields value and how to print it somewhere. So I'm going to show you all of that. Don't worry. Please tell difference between where and let in a quick way. Don't worry. Yes, we are going to discuss that as well. Don't worry, notebook. I think I've read your name in future in past sessions as well. Notebook, I think. Okay, fine, guys. Now let's focus. So you know already know HTML, right? So that means if we have a p tag, you know what is a p tag, right? You know what is a p tag. You know what is like an h1 tag and all sorts of. You know everything, right? Now see, what is DOM? So you know the full form. DOM is nothing but document object model. But what actually is it? So now what happens? See, guys, when you run your page, when you execute your HTML page, that means when you tell the browser that I want to execute my HTML page, what happens in that case? Your browser converts your HTML document into a tree. Now see, this here that you see here is for your readability. You can read this, but the browser doesn't treat your page like this. I have zoomed it. I have zoomed, like, I hope you can see it now. I have zoomed it. Okay. So now guys, see, when the browser executes your HTML page, it converts your HTML code into a tree structure. Now, if you see it, you can easily create a tree structure for this. For example, see, if you see it, HTML is opening at the start and ending at the very end. That means HTML is the topmost element. That means it's the parent. And then inside HTML, you have two things: head, and then you have a body. They are sharing the same parent. That means body and head are inside the same parent. That is HTML. That means both of them are nothing but what? Siblings, brothers or sisters, whatever you call them, but mostly call it siblings. Okay. So head and body are siblings. Then inside head, you have one more child, that is title. And inside body, you have two childs. You have a P, you have a H1, right? So if you think of a tree structure, if you think of a family tree, you can create a tree like this: HTML, then you have head, and then you have body. And inside head you have title, and inside body you have a P and an H1. So if you don't worry, you're never going to see that tree structure. Just think of it that browser internally creates the tree structure, and then browser reads the tree structure and creates the output for you. It understands the tree structure. Okay, fine. There is a head, there is a body, inside body there is a P, then inside P there is something this, then there is H1, then there is this, and then creates the output for you accordingly. So remember, inside the browser there is an interpreter which converts your HTML code into a tree, and then browser reads the tree and creates the output for you. And that tree is called as a DOM tree, or that is called as a DOM. That tree is known as a document object model, where each of your element is considered as an object. Guys, please remember this, where each of the element is considered as a object. This whole thing is a document, and where each element is considered as an object. So you can call this P as an object. So normally you call it tag. You can also call it an object. You can also call it an element. It's totally up to you. So there are three names. Like there are multiple names, but mostly used are, you can either call it an element, you can either call it an object, you can either call it a tag. While writing we call it tag, while using we call it a element, or we call it an object. Okay. So that tree structure of your HTML document that is created by the interpreter in the browser is known as DOM, that is document object model. It's the objectified model of your HTML document. That's why it's called as a document object model. Is that clear, guys? Everyone, are we cleared with the concept here? What is DOM actually? Guys, are we cleared? Please tell me. Everyone? If you tell me, then we can move ahead, right? So you guys tell me, are we cleared with what is DOM? Everyone, come on. Okay, that is great. Acha, Amal is also here. I think Amal, you were in my HTML and CSS essentials, right, buddy? I can recollect your name. Okay, that's cool, guys. That's cool. That's, you guys are really understanding it. I think the charts are really late today, but that's fine. Cool. Now, JavaScript is considered as a DOM manipulation language. DOM is nothing but your tree. We know, right? DOM is nothing but your tree structure of the HTML document. So JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language. Basically, JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language. And what do we mean by that? The JavaScript language has the ability to manipulate the DOM. That means to manipulate the tree. That means if you like, you can write code to remove elements from the tree, to add elements in the tree, or to manipulate the elements. When I say manipulate, you can manipulate the content of an element, you can manipulate the style of an element. So that's what JavaScript can do, and that's where JavaScript really becomes powerful. Okay, so JavaScript has the ability to manipulate the DOM tree. That means if we want, we can use JavaScript to add element in the tree. If we can use JavaScript to remove any element from the tree, and we can use JavaScript to manipulate, change, or update any element in the tree. That's what JavaScript can do, and that's why JavaScript is also considered as a DOM manipulation language. And this is what actually you mean by a client-side JavaScript. This is what client-side JavaScript does. Okay, but why JavaScript is called client-side? That's a different thing. Don't worry about it right now. Okay, but JavaScript can manipulate the tree. And that's why JavaScript can be considered as a DOM manipulation language. Are we cleared, guys? Everyone, are we cleared? Okay. And today we are going to see that how we can use JavaScript to actually manipulate this DOM tree. Remember, JavaScript is not manipulating your code. Whatever you write here, it will be same. What JavaScript is actually manipulating? The tree that is generated using this code. So whatever tree the interpreter has generated internally, that is something that JavaScript will manipulate. So don't ever think like if we manipulate something with JavaScript, you will see the changes in code. No, code will always be same. Okay. JS run only inside browser? No, not after 2009. Before 2009, JS was only running inside the browser. That's why JS was only considered client side, because it used to run inside the browser. But after 2009, there was like the invention of Node.js. And by using that, you can also run JavaScript outside the browser. And that's where JavaScript became server side. So yes, before 2009, JS was only a client-side language because it used to only run in the client browser, in the PC's browser. But not now, because after Node.js, JavaScript can be run like written or run anywhere. You can execute it anywhere in your PC, not only in the browser. So when someone says client-side JavaScript, that means JavaScript that runs inside the browser. Okay, but now remember, after Node.js, JavaScript can also run outside the browser. So JavaScript is no longer only client side. JavaScript now is a client side as well as server side language. But don't worry about the server side. We are going to have other essentials where I'm going to teach you how to use the server JavaScript as a server side language. But today we are only going to talk about JavaScript as a client side language because we are only going to work in the browser. Okay, guys? Okay, that's cool then. Now let's move ahead. And let's link the JavaScript page so that whatever code we write in JavaScript, it can work with this HTML, right? So that's why we have to link both the pages, because we cannot blindly go and write JavaScript code and it will know that, okay, I have to work with this HTML. JavaScript and HTML should know each other. They should know that, okay, I'm working for this HTML page, and HTML should know that this is my JavaScript page. So for that, you have to link both the pages. Okay. So for that, you can simply go here, put up a script tag, and always remember, guys, put it in the bottom only. I have seen a lot of I have seen a lot of actually internet videos where they put the script tag inside the head, and a lot of people call it for security reasons or for some heading reasons. There's nothing like that. You should always put your script at the end of your body. That means after creating all the HTML. That means here you're going to create all your HTML, and at the end you should have your script tag. Nope, Sai Charan, we are not going to learn Node.js in this class, but yep, we have that planned in future. We're going to learn about Node.js and all the stuff. Okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, so remember, guys, put your scripts always at the bottom because there is a reason. Okay, you should never put it on the top. Okay, please remember this. Now, simply go in here. Now, see, if you want, you can also like just create space here and start writing JavaScript in between this. Start writing JavaScript in between these script tags. That also works. That will work really fine. You can write all the JavaScript. But the problem is your page will become big because it will contain both HTML and JS. And that's not a good way of writing JavaScript. But see, that's not a bad way. That's not just a suggested way, because your page will become big and then you'll have the same thing in the same page. You'll to have two things. Then you have to scroll up and down every time, right? So instead of that, you should prefer creating a separate JS file and then writing JavaScript there. But you have to link it. And to link it, the reason, that's great that someone asked. I'll tell you the reason. Now see, think of it like this. What is the reason? Think of it like this. So let's say you're using JavaScript to, let's say, hide a button. Or let's say you display some ad, and after 5 seconds, you want to hide that ad. So when the page opens, the ad is displayed, and after 5 seconds, you want to hide that ad. And that logic of hiding the ad, okay, is written in JavaScript. Now think of it like this. If you have written JavaScript first, when the page loads, JavaScript will load first. HTML is like still not loaded. Let's say internet is slow and JavaScript has loaded and the timer has started. JavaScript loaded and the timer started, and HTML is still not loaded. And JavaScript calculated that the 5 seconds are done, and it disappears the ad. But the HTML is still not loaded, and now the user will never see the ad because JavaScript has disappeared it before even loading. JavaScript loaded, timer started, and after 5 seconds, ad disappeared. But the ad was like still like it never appeared because the internet was slow and HTML has still not loaded and all sorts of that thing. Okay, and these things can happen. That's why we write JavaScript at the bottom, because we want the HTML to load first, always. Because see, if there is no DOM, then what is the meaning of DOM manipulation? That's why we want our HTML to load first, and then we can start manipulating it, right, everyone? If we don't have the HTML loaded, and if you started manipulating it, what are we manipulating then? So we want the user to see everything first, and then we can show them the effects of manipulation, what is changing and what is not changing. So that's why we should always put it at the bottom, everyone. Don't worry, Redhi Kumari, document.write is what? I'll tell you, don't worry, don't worry. And we don't even have to use it. Document.write is deprecated. You should not use it. Okay. What is namespace? It's kind of a package. I don't think we have to understand it here, but just for your question, I'll tell you. So namespace is like a package. It's again like a collection of classes of related category. Okay, and you create that package or that namespace so that you can use it and import it anywhere and use it. Just like you have in C#, you have namespaces where you have a group of related classes, that pretty much are doing the same kind of stuff, and then you can import it and use it. So that's what a namespace is. A namespace is nothing but a collection of classes for related things. Okay, how to run only JS file? Then either you can have to go in the console Kavita, or you have to install Node.js and start running it. Because when you talk about the client side JS, you have to work with the HTML file. When you talk about the client side JS, HTML file is required, because that's how JS works on the client side. It works with the HTML file. It works hand in hand with HTML. Okay. Now, guys, let's link the file. Let's link the HTML file here. So let's go src, and then simply put the file name or the path if it's in some folder, and that's it. Done. The file is linked. Okay. So now the file is linked, and now go here in the browser. Where is my browser? Here we go. Now there's nothing because we have not created any HTML. And just for now, I'm going to use the browser console for the basic things. I really hope that you know this, right? You know what is console, right? It's nothing but, you can say, command prompt of the browser. Console is nothing but command prompt of the browser. That's all. Okay. And you handle this using JavaScript. You handle this using JavaScript. I'm really assuming that you know this, because I have used using this console a lot of times. So I really want to confirm. You know this, right, guys? Everyone? Sir, what's your name? My name is Saurabh, buddy. My name is Saurabh Gupta. Siddesh. Okay. So guys, are we understanding? I really hope that you know what is console, right, everyone? Okay, that's cool. That means I don't have to explain it again, like what exactly is console. But just for now, if you just want to like give you a one-liner, console is nothing but, it's just a command prompt of your browser, which is handled using the JS language. So you can write JavaScript here as well, but we don't do it normally. We normally write JavaScript from here. But yes, if needed, we also write it there. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll learn all about it. Don't worry. We'll learn all about it. Okay. Now, normally, first of all, let me show you how to handle the console. So I really hope that you guys also know this, but I just want to make it sure that you know this. Okay, because I have seen sir using it. So to work with the console, in the browser, you have an inbuilt JavaScript object that is this, named what? Console. So there is an inbuilt JavaScript object named console that is created just to work with this console. Okay, that's all. JavaScript is all about object, guys. Remember this. JavaScript is all about object. So console is nothing but an inbuilt object that helps you to work with the console. That's all. And don't worry, we don't have a lot of time to like explain what is console deeply, but that's fine. I hope you guys are understanding it because you have used it in the last 4 days, right? So console object has a function named log. Log function is basically made to print anything on the console, to print anything, literally anything, not only text, literally anything. So log is a function which is made to print anything on the console. Okay, and this is one of the most used functions in JavaScript, because see, in this white space here, you're going to have your web page, and you're not going to print random things on the web page, right? Because that will distort your web page, that will make your web page like really look bad. So we don't want to distort our web page. So for printing purposes, for checking purposes, for checking any kind of errors, for checking any kind of variables, we don't print them on the web page, we simply print them on the console, so that web page is fine and there is no changes. Okay, so only the DOM manipulation things should be done on web page. For printing purposes, for checking your variables values, for checking arrays values, don't print anything on the web page. Okay, print everything on the console. Please guys, remember this. So that's why we have console.log. Okay, so here we go. Just to check it, simply say hello, save it, go on the web page, refresh, and here we go. We have the hello. That means the pages are linked. That means the HTML and JS are linked, and that's great. Now we can start. But today we are not going to deal like a lot with console.log, because our topic is about DOM manipulation. So we are going to do that, okay? Because I really hope that you know what are loops and every stuff. So our topic is mainly going to be DOM manipulation. Okay. So what about document.getElement? I'm going to teach you that. Don't worry. I'm going to teach you all about that today. I'm going to teach you about document.getElements by ID, get elements by class name, get elements by tag name, everything. So don't worry. Okay, guys? So everyone, sir, console.log is server side. Yes, it's, see, don't think about console.log is server side or not. Console.log is just a JavaScript functionality. So if JavaScript is server side, console.log will also work there, and console.log also works with the client side. So don't worry about it. Okay, guys. So everyone, can we start? Can we start with the basics of DOM manipulation? Whatever we write on the console in browser is temporary. See, if it is JS code, then you can think of it like a permanent thing. Like if it is in the JS code permanently, then it will be on the console permanently. If you remove it, it will be removed. Simple. But yes, if you think about like whatever we write, and even if we remove it, is it permanent? No. If you remove it, it's gone. It's gone. Simple. Okay, Soumya? Okay, guys, let's start with the concept of DOM manipulation. So let's go ahead and let's start doing it. So for that, what I'm going to do is, let me just close this sidebar. Let's start. Okay, so now guys, see, there are few steps in DOM manipulation. Once you understand them, then DOM manipulation is never going to be tough for you. A lot of people find DOM manipulation tough. A lot of people find JavaScript client side really tough because they don't understand what is DOM manipulation. But actually, there are few very basic steps, and once you understand them, DOM manipulation is the easiest thing. Now, what are the steps? So now remember, the first step of DOM manipulation is you should know how to select the element. Because see, if you want to remove an element, or if you want to add a new element, or if you want to update an element, first you should know how to select that element, because you want to work with that element, right? So if you want to work with the p tag using JavaScript, first of all, you should know how to select that p tag, right? If you want to work with the h1 tag in JavaScript, first of all, you should know how to work with that, how to fetch that, how to select that h1 tag, right? So that's the first step, guys. In DOM manipulation, you should know how to select an element so that you can work with that element or the object, whatever you call it. It's totally fine. Okay, so that is the first thing we're going to learn here today, how to select an element. Okay, so let's start. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a p. Okay, and let's simply write anything. It's totally fine. Write anything. So let me write just like paragraph. Don't worry about the text right now. Let me simply write paragraph 1. Please focus, everyone. If you understand what I'm teaching in the next 10 or 15 minutes, DOM manipulation will be cleared for lifetime. Okay, so please, everyone, focus and listen to everything that I'm telling you in the next 15 minutes. That's the important thing here. Okay, so let's say paragraph 2, and I create one more, that is paragraph 3. Simple. And let me give all of them a class name. Okay, so class para. Okay, you can give any class name. That's totally fine. I'm simply giving a class name of para. Class of para. What is P and what is H1? H1 is a heading tag and P is a paragraph tag, Om Verma. I think you have not learned HTML, right, Om? I would suggest you to go and watch the HTML and CSS essentials that we have on this channel. So you'll understand. Buddy, please don't spam the chat. Om Verma, please don't spam the chat, buddy. Okay? So that everyone can ask their doubts properly. Okay, guy? Cool. Now we have three p tags with the same class of para, and that's totally fine. Now let's see if I want to fetch this, if I want to select the elements, how can I do it using JavaScript? So guys, please focus now. So first of all, I'm going to teach you how to select the element using the tag name. How to select the element using the tag name. Okay, so let's do it. And that's really, really simple. Okay, so now just like console, it's like console was one of the object that helps you to print anything on the console. There is one more inbuilt object in JavaScript that helps you to work with this white area, with this document, with your web page. Console is the object that helps you to work with the console. Document is another object that will help you to work with the document, with your actual web page. So when you want to do room manipulation, document is the most important object. So console is one object we know, document is the another object that we're going to learn. So document object refers to this web page. Okay, you can say refers to the tree. Document object is nothing but your tree. Okay, remember it. Guys, document object is nothing but your DOM tree. Document object is the one that holds your tree. So we are going to use the document object to manipulate the tree. Simple concept. Okay, so now here we go. And if I want to show you, let me just show you what actually document object has. Let's do this. Console.log, simply print the document. I want to see what actually document is. So console.log document, and let's see what actually is the document. And I told you that document is nothing but your web page. Document is nothing but your tree. Let's see if it is true. So I'm just printing the document on the console just to show you. Let's see. And here we go. Document. Can you see when I hover on it, the page gets highlighted? Everyone, can you see when I hover on it, the page gets highlighted? Is that clear, guys? So you can understand by this, the document object is nothing but your page. Please fetch single p tag if multiple p tag present without using class or IDs. Yes, Mrityunjay, I'm going to show you that. Don't worry, Mrityunjay Pandey. I'm going to show you every aspect of fetching element. So don't worry. Guys, don't worry. I'm going to show you every aspect of fetching it. How to fetch it using class name, by ID, by tag name, and how to fetch a single element. So don't worry about all of that, okay? So now here we go, guys. See. Open this, and what do you see? You can see your tree. This is the tree. This is nothing but the tree. So I hope now you confirm what actually your document object is. It's nothing but your document, your HTML document, your tree. So the tree that we talk about is nothing but is provided by the document object. Okay, so that's cool. Now then, how to fetch an element by the tag name? Okay, guys. So how to fetch an element by the tag name, and that's really simple. See, guys, how you go for it. So console, I'm just printing everything so that you can see what is actually going on. Okay, so I'm just printing everything so that you can see how it is going on in the backend. Okay, so document is the object. Then it has a method named get elements by tag name. The document object has a function that you can call, that is get elements by tag name. And inside the bracket of that function, you can specify which tag name element you want to fetch. So I want to fetch, I want to select the P elements. I want to fetch, let's not call it select. Let's call it fetch. You're getting the elements. You're not selecting it, you're getting it. So that's why I'm calling it fetch. Okay. So document dot get elements by tag name P. Okay. So basically, I'm asking my JavaScript to fetch all the elements having tag name P. So now see, how many elements I have? Guys, I have 3 P elements. That means, so I'm in my JavaScript, I'm telling I want to fetch all the P elements. And here we go, I have 3 P elements. That means this line should fetch all the 3 P elements. That's it. This line, you can add students calendar, also reminder mails are being sent. Okay, cool. Fine. So I should get all the 3 P elements. Let's see how we're getting it. Save it, go on the browser, refresh. And here we go. Because we had 3 P elements, we got what? We got an collection, or you can also call it an array. So we are actually getting an array of P's. Please, guys, remember it. We are actually getting an array of P's. That means this thing here, this document.get elements by tag name P is returning an array of elements. And because there were 3 P's, we are getting array of 3 elements. This thing here is returning an array of elements. Text editor doesn't matter, you can link. Cool. Yeah. So that's it, guys. That's how you fetch elements using tag name. But you still cannot perform DOM manipulation. Sir, can I select more than one tag at one same time? No, you should not do that. And no, that is not supported normally with get elements by tag name. Okay. Now, guys, please focus, everyone. Now, remember, this thing here is giving me an array. It's not giving me the element. Please, guys, remember this line. To perform an element manipulation, you need the element. Okay, remember this line, guys. Etc ty, please don't spam the chat, buddy. How to link JS file in submit text editor. Sublime text editor. Same thing, same way. Etc ty doesn't matter which editor you're using, whether you're using Atom or Sublime or VS Code is the same way. Whether you're using Notepad doesn't matter. Same way. Same way. Yes, Retro, you're correct, buddy. Same way. Yes. Okay. So please don't spam the chat, buddy. Okay, guys. Now let's move ahead. Now remember what I'm saying. Remember this line. When you want to work with an element, you need an element. And here we are not having the element. We are having a collection of elements. We are having an array of elements. So how do I access an element then? So now you guys tell me, if I have an array and if I want to access the first element, what do I write? You guys answer me. Come on, you know arrays, right? So you guys answer me. If I have an array and I want to access the first element, what do I do? You have learned arrays, right? Come on, tell me, guys, everyone. If I have an array and I want to access the first element, what should I do? So this thing here, we know that it is returning an array. This thing here is giving back an array. So how can I access the first element? Exactly, index of an array. Correct. So see, guys, the thing here is not exactly an array, but it is something like an array. It's actually an HTML collection, but it can be treated like an array. So you can simply go here, use the square brackets and specify the index. So if I want the first p, I can simply write of 0. That's all. And here we go. We have the first element. And once you have got this, that means now you really have the element and now you can manipulate it. Okay. So I'm getting the first one on 0th index because it's an array. If I go 1, I'll get the second element. If I go 2, I'll get the third element. Simple. Or if you don't want to make it this complex, you can also do this thing. See, if you don't want to make it this big, like complex thing, you can also do this. Simply copy it, put it in a variable. So let's call it like var, let's say elements. So ELEs equals this. So basically, whatever this thing is returning, it is returning an array. We know that. So inside this ELEs, we're going to have that array of elements. And now we can simply write it like this: ELEs of 0. So basically, it becomes simple to understand, right? So basically, it becomes same thing, but simple to understand. So it's totally up to you. If you want, you can write the array index directly here. If you want, if you like this way, you can directly write it here. If you like this way, or if you are comfortable with this way. Otherwise, to make it simple, store it in a variable and then simply use this. Are we cleared, everyone? Vaibhav is saying it's lagging. Guys, everyone, please tell me, are we lagging here? Everyone? And also, are we understanding this, everyone? So that's how you access an element. And once you have accessed the element, you can do all the things about DOM manipulation. And we are going to learn that. Don't worry. We're going to learn that as well. So how you inspect screen like this? Simple. You simply go here, right click, inspect, and that's it. Then the window will open. Here we go. And then I'm just going on the console. Okay, no lag, right? Yeah, that's cool then. That's cool. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for telling it to me. Now, can you please slowly run the command and show the effect? Slowly run the command? I don't understand that. What is slowly run the command? Sir, what if we are getting by ID and we have 3 elements with the same ID? Then what we'll get? Only the first element, because according to standards, you should never give multiple IDs. You should never give same IDs to multiple elements. Okay. Okay, now guys, let's move ahead. So now we have the element. So this is one way of fetching the elements by using the tag name. Everyone, are we cleared? Durva, what is your doubt, Durva? You can tell me. Durva, what is your doubt? And guys, please just remember this, instead of like directly like saying this like about the whole like no, I didn't understand, instead just tell me the doubt, like what is your confusion, so that we don't have to waste time on the questions, right? So if you're not understanding anything, directly ask the question. That will be the more better way of asking it. Okay. How you inspect only half of the screen? So you can move it, see, you can do this. So you can like move it to half or like 90% thing and everything like this. Okay. And yes, like how am I doing this? Okay, yep, I understand. Normally, see here you have the options. Where do you want it? So normally I think it comes like this on the bottom of the screen. So you can just click on these three buttons, three icons, and then just dock to right. And here will go. It will go right. Okay. Okay, everyone. So are we cleared? Yeah, Durva. Okay, you don't get the line number one, right? So what I did, I simply see now we know that this is returning an array, right, Durva? This thing here is returning an array. This thing here is returning an array. So we are simply storing it in a variable. And then we are using that variable normally. That's how we are working. Okay. You guys know about variables, right, everyone? Guys, you guys know about variables, right, everyone? We have learned this in last 4 days. We know what about variables, right? So simply remember, this thing is returning an array of p's and we are storing it in ELEs. That means ELEs, it's nothing but a variable that also becomes what? It becomes an array of p's, and then we can use it like we are using this normally. We just made it simple. That's what we just made it simple. ELEs is nothing but a variable, guys. Don't worry. It's a short form for elements. You can name it anything like E or L, or you give it your name, doesn't matter. It's just a variable name. That's all. Okay. I simply wrote ELEs because it's a short form for elements. Okay, you can name it anything. It's totally up to you. What is the requirement of DOM manipulation? DOM manipulation is one of the most important things in web development. You have seen the effects, right? You click on a button, something happens. You click on a slider, slider moves away. You click on an image, it zooms up. All that things are nothing but DOM manipulation. Okay, everyone. See, guys, when I say I'm creating a variable, I name it anything. Don't think about it. I can name it anything. I simply name it ELEs because that's a short form of elements. I understand you guys got confused at what is ELEs. It was not specific. It can name it anything. It's just a variable. Okay, everyone. Okay, guys. Okay, cool. Now let's move ahead. So this was one way of fetching the elements using document.getElements by tag name, which is returning nothing but an array. Now, I want to make sure one more thing. Okay. Now for some time, let's simply print the ELEs normally. Okay. Now we know that we are going to print the whole array. Okay. Now we're going to print the whole array. Okay. Now let's see one more thing. Now, right now, we had three elements. So we got an array. What if we only have one element? What if we only have one element? Now, are we getting directly an element, or are we gonna still get an array? What do you guys see? What do you guys like suggest? What do you guys think? Come on, tell me, guys. What if I only have one element? By using where when we have let, because I want to explain the difference between where and let. That's why. Yep. Don't worry, Mugilan. I'm gonna explain you what is the difference between where and let. First of all, guys, please try to answer me. What if I only have one element? Now I have only one p tag. So now what will I get? How to contact LetsUpgrade members? I want to learn only front end development as of now, but in website you have to go try to contact it by there only, and then we're going to call you, and then you can contact us to us. Okay. And I think Jyotsna, you guys, you can see that Hari 45 is asking the doubt about contacting us, so please check it out. Okay, guys. Okay, everyone is saying just element, just element, just element. Okay, so first of all, that's not true. Even if you have one element, you still get an array. So this is one thing that I want to make sure that everyone knows. Okay, so you will always get an array. Get elements by tag name will always give you an array. Doesn't matter if you have one element, 10 elements, 1,000 elements, it will always give an array. And that means that now we're also getting an array. And if you want the element, so there's only one element in the array, that means it's on the 0th index. So if you go, you can go here and you can simply put off 0 and you can still access it. Here we go. Simple. Okay, so please, guys, remember it. Get elements by tag name will always give you an array. Okay, now this is how you fetch an element using tag name. And remember guys, once you have got the element, then you can work. So now we have got the element, and don't worry, how to work with an element I'm going to tell you in some time. First of all, let's try to understand all the fetching points, how to fetch. Okay everyone, so now let's comment it and let's move ahead and let's see the next way of fetching. Okay guys, so everyone, are we cleared? Can we move ahead? Can we see the next way of fetching? Everyone, can we see the next way of fetching? Sir, what is an array? Please short for me explain kar do. Okay, an array is nothing but a collection of elements. An array is nothing but a collection of elements, and you access the elements based on the index. So array is indexed always, the counting of the array or the index of the array always starts from 0. So the first element is on the 0th index, and then so on 1 2 3 4 5 6. So that was the short form. Array is nothing but a collection of elements in which you access the elements with the help of index number, and index number always starts from 0. Okay, cool guys. Now let's see the another way. So now again, let me just create all the p tags back, and now let's see how can I fetch elements using class name. So let's do it again. So again, where ele. Okay, let me just remove ELEs. Let me just name it ELE so that you don't get confused. Okay, now how to fetch elements using class name, and it's going to be again simple. Simply go on document dot get element by class name. So document dot get elements by class name, and then in here you simply go on and write your class name. In this case, what is our class name? Para. So I simply write para, and that's it. And just to confirm, what are we getting in there? Let's print it and see. Console.log ele, and let's see what are we getting. Save it, and here we go. Ele means nothing, Saurabh. Ele is just a variable name, buddy. That's all. Okay, I think you guys have a habit of naming your variables like A, B, and C. Never do it, please. If you guys name your variables like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, stop doing it. Give your variables meaningful names. Okay, so don't worry. ELE Saurabh is just a variable, buddy. That's all. Just a variable in which I'm storing whatever is this document dot get elements by class name is returning. That's all. Okay. Now see, guys. See, when I fetch the elements using class name, I again get an array. That means again the same thing. If you fetch an element using class name, you'll again get an array, and exactly the same like tag name. If we have one element with the one class name, it will still give an array. That means tag name and class name, that means get elements by tag name and get elements by class name will always give you an array. Always. Even if there is single element, even if there are multiple elements, no matter what, they will always give you an array. And why is this happening? Because according to standards, class names and tag names can be repeated. So basically JavaScript thinks that it can be repeated in future. So always be safe and give array. Okay. Is it cleared, guys? Are we cleared? So remember, get elements by tag name and get elements by class name will always give you an array. Always, always, always. Okay. Why meaningful names? Because Abida, in a program, you might have hundreds of variables. And once you have like hundreds of variables, if you name them A, B, C, first of all, you will run out with the names. Second thing, you will be unable to understand the names once you like, let's say you stop on the project and you resume back on the project after 2 months, 3 months, 1 year. Even for you, it will be tough to understand in what variables you're storing what things. That's why you give meaningful names, so that by just reading the variable name, you can understand that what are you storing in that. For example, if you give the variable name age, you'll simply understand that this is a variable that is storing age. If you give a variable name as city, you'll simply understand that this is going to store city, right? So meaningful names, right? Meaningful names. So you'll understand what are the data that is getting stored there. That's why you have to give meaningful names. If we have 1000 of p and I want to fetch 950 p tag, then how can I fetch without using index? Can we loop over it if we possible? Please make me understand. Yes, we can loop over it. Why not? We can loop over it. And I'm going to show it to you tomorrow how to loop over thousands of p's. Not thousands, but hundreds of p's. Don't worry. I'm going to show you. Okay, Mrityunjay? Sir, class tag name दोनों में array. Yes, yes, exactly. Tag name से fetch करोगे, class name से fetch करोगे, दोनों में array आएगा. Always remember this, guys. Okay? Okay, please, devotional, don't spam the chat, buddy. Yes, 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 technical. Now, guys, Let's see the next method. Now, before moving on to that, what if I want to access this third P? I want this third element. How can I access it? Come on, guys. How can I access the third element? Everyone, just answer me. How can I access the third element? Sir, if we give P of 1, but we have only one tag, what happens? You'll get undefined because there's no element like that. You'll simply get undefined. Okay? Guys, come on. Everyone. I want to access the third P here. What should I do? Yes, someone started. Yep, exactly. Simple. Now you guys are understanding. Now you guys are getting it. You simply have to do ELE of 2, and that's it. We'll get the paragraph number 3, and that is cool. That's really cool. Amazing. Now let's move ahead and let's see the third method of fetching elements. Okay, guys, please focus, everyone. And the third way is I'm going to give it an ID. So let's give it an ID of P1. Now remember, guys, first of all, before moving on to JavaScript, some basic HTML standard understanding. Remember, IDs are made for unique naming. IDs are made for unique naming. That means according to W3C standards. Now, if you ask me what is W3C, don't worry. It's just an authority that keeps track of all the standards of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It basically is the biggest authority of the browser, you can like of the internet. Okay, so that is what W3C is. It's called World Wide Web Consortium. It's an authority. Why array start with 0? Because that's how it is made. Aman, that's some question that I always get in my mind, but that's how it is made. That's how people have made arrays. Okay. Okay, Aman? Cool, guys. Now remember, guys, so according to the standards, you should never repeat your IDs. That means once you have given an ID to an element, you should never give the same ID to another element. That means according to standards, if you do this, it's wrong. According to standards, if you do this, it's wrong. You should never give the same ID to any other element because ID is for uniqueness. ID is for providing unique name or unique selection to the element. That's why you should never do it. Okay, guys, that's why you should never do it. That's one thing. Please remember it. And JavaScript knows this, that you're never going to repeat an ID because you're a good programmer. So JavaScript understands that you're a good programmer and you're never going to repeat an ID. JavaScript knows it. Okay. That's why let's see how to first of all fetch an element using ID. We know how to fetch element using tag name. We know how to fetch an element using class name. Now let's see how to fetch an element using ID. So let's again do var ELE. And now let's do it. So document dot get element by ID. Let's go here and write P1. Now let's print it and let's see if we get an array or if we get an element directly. So now I'm again printing ELE and let's see what do we get now. Save it. And here we go. Can you guys see it, everyone? We directly get the element. That means when you fetch element using IDs, you're never going to get an array. You're always going to get the element directly because JavaScript knows that with a single ID, there is only a single element. That means I don't have to fetch multiple elements. So there is no need of an array here. There is no need of an array. And if you by mistake give same ID to another element, it will not be fetched. It will not be considered because once JavaScript has fetched an element using ID, it will never move ahead and try to fetch any other element because it knows that according to standards, you have given ID to only one element. If you have given the same ID to any other element, that's your mistake. So JavaScript understands that. That's why it will only fetch the first element. So if you have given an ID, same ID to 3 elements, only the first will be fetched, another 2 will be ignored, simply ignored. So remember this, guys. Okay, guys, everyone. So are we cleared? It's not array, it's HTML collection. We need to use. Yes, Sujal, we know that, buddy. Yes, that's what it's not an array, but that's something that looks like an array and works almost like an array. So that's for just the basic understanding, for beginner understanding. Right? We know that method as well, Sujal. Array.from. Don't worry, buddy. But right now it's just for beginner understanding. So we have to understand it like an array. First of all, we have to think it like an array. Because right now, if we go in deep, then it will be really confusing for people to start understanding DOM manipulation, right? Sujal, I hope you're understanding it, my point, buddy. So right now we have to go for like beginners. Okay. Exactly, Hari. You can also see the name difference, guys. See the name difference, everyone. Here we have get elements. That means they are destined to fetch multiple elements. And here we have get element. That means it was made for fetching a single element. Okay. So, yep, that's how it works. So this is how you fetch elements. And now we know how to fetch elements. And now we can move ahead and start manipulating the elements. Okay. Sujal, if you have heard me correctly, I told that according to standards, you should give a single ID to a single element. But yes, according to your point, get element by ID doesn't work with standard. Get element by ID knows that I have to fetch only one element. I think you know that you can also give same IDs to multiple elements and it still works in CSS, right, buddy? So, yep, I hope you understand, Sujal, our points now. Okay. What is the use of industry? Like, where do these things are used in industry? We're going to use it. Don't worry. And it's not first is found. They know that you have multiple elements. Simply once the first is found, they ignore everything else. They never move ahead. They never loop through other elements to fetch it. Right? That's how get element by ID works. That's how that function is made. Okay, Sujal? I hope you're getting my point here. Okay, guys. So now we know how to fetch elements. Now can we start learning how to manipulate data? Everyone. Guys, are we cleared with all the things here? Are we cleared with get elements by tag name? Are we cleared with get elements by class name and get element by ID? Everyone? Now, can we start manipulating the data? Can we start manipulating the elements and also the CSS? Everything actually. Let's start manipulation, right, everyone? Let's start the manipulation. Everyone? Okay, that's great. Let's go ahead and let's start doing it. So now the first step is complete. Now the first step is complete that we know how to fetch an element. So if you fetch elements by class name or tag name, you'll get an array. So you have to access the element using an index. But if you fetch the element using ID, you directly get the element. Now remember, no matter how you fetch the element, once you have got the single element, you can do this exact same things. So no matter if you have fetched the element using class name, no matter if you have fetched the element using tag name, no matter if you have fetched the element using ID, once you have got the element, the final element, you can do the exact same thing everywhere by class name, by tag name, or by ID. Doesn't matter how you have fetched your element. Once you've got the element, you can do the exact same thing. So if I teach you something to do on element that I have fetched using ID, you should understand that you can do the same thing on the elements fetched using class names or tag names. Okay, so don't think like that whatever I can do on the element fetched using IDs cannot be done on the elements fetched using class names or tag names. Same things can be done. Okay, same things. So now let's go ahead. Please tell us query selector. Yes, I'll tell you that as well. Don't worry. I'll tell you that as well. Don't worry. Okay. So now let's see. So now I have this paragraph one. Okay, guys, I have this paragraph one. And I think yesterday you also learned functions, right, guys? Yesterday you also learned functions. I really hope. Okay. So now here we have the element fetched using IDs. That means this first element, we have it. Okay. Now let's see what if, sir, we are getting element by ID, then why we are using class and tag name? Because see, a lot of times you have like if you have ever worked with like if you have ever designed any web page, you know that there are a lot of elements that are similar. For example, if you go in Flipkart, there are multiple products. Okay, so maybe the coder has given all of them a same class name to apply some CSS, and I want to apply some same kind of JS to all of them. So if I give unique IDs, I have to write the same JS again and again, but I can write it directly on the class name using jQuery or JavaScript. Okay, so that's why class name is important, because you can write this one thing like for a class and it will work for each and every like all the elements having that particular class. That's why we have it, because IDs, once you give the ID to an element, that ID cannot be repeated. So if you want to do the write the same thing, or if you want to write the same effect for another element, you cannot do it. You have to give another ID, you have to write it again. So that's the problem. Okay, guys. Okay, Hemant, I think you're understanding my point, right, Hemant? So that's why like both have their specific uses. You use class names for different purposes, you use IDs for different purposes. And don't worry, once you get on with us, once you start learning things, you'll understand when to use class name and when to use ID. That's like a really great thing. You have to it depends actually. Situation. What are your elements and how you're going to work with them. Okay, guys. So let's move ahead now. Let's move ahead. Okay, everyone, please focus, guys. Now, inside ELE, I have got my element. So that means I have my element. Okay, and now let's see how to manipulate the content inside the element. So now we are starting with how to manipulate the content inside the element. Okay, so please focus, everyone. So first of all, before manipulating, I'm showing you how to fetch the content present inside the element. So once you have got the element, there's a property named inner text. There's a property named inner text. And this is the property that helps you to fetch the text present inside the tag. Now, if you see, what is the text present inside this tag, guys? We have the text as paragraph 1. Okay. So here we go. Now we should, using this thing, we should get that text between that particular tag. Let's see if we get it. Here we go. And here we go. We get the text that was present inside the first P tag. And that's how you do it. Is that clear, everyone? Guys, that's how you do it. Can I add two index numbers for fetching two elements? No, Rahul, you can't. You don't have to do that because you get an array-like thing, right? So you can work out like an array. You don't tell it to like fetch only two elements. You don't do that. Okay. For tag name, we use get element by ID. For class name, we use get for, and also tag name for tag. No, for ID, we use get element by ID. Zaid Khan for ID. Okay. Okay, guys, so are we cleared with inner text? Everyone, are we cleared with inner text? Please tell me, everyone. Are we cleared with inner text? So that's how inner text works. So inner text will basically help you to fetch the content, fetch the textual content present inside the element. Okay. Yes, yes, Arkam, don't worry. I'm getting on to that. You will understand what is the difference between inner text and inner HTML. I'm going to explain it very carefully. Don't worry. Let's go step by step. Okay. You know me, right? Let's go step by step. Okay. Now, inner text can also be used for changing the content. That means inner text works like both the things. It will also help you to fetch the data. It will also help you to change the data. So if you simply want to fetch it, you simply write element dot inner text and it will fetch it for you. If you want to change it, you write it like this: element dot inner text equal to some data, and that's it. That's how you change it. That means it is also helping for you, like it is also helping you to get the text. It is also helping you to change the text, or you can call it set the text. That means here inner text is working in both the ways. It's just how you write it. Okay. So element dot inner text, if I write, let's say let's upgrade. Okay, let's see. Let's upgrade. And let's see it now. Save it. Refresh the page and see. Here we go. We have let's upgrade now. See, in the code, we have still paragraph 1, but we manipulated that element using JavaScript. And that's the simplest example of DOM manipulation. Is it clear, everyone? That's the simplest example of DOM manipulation. We did something really cool now. We simply manipulated the content of a tag. Is that clear, everyone? Okay. So if you want to fetch it, you simply write ele.innerText. That means whatever element you have dot inner text, it will fetch the text for you. And if you want to change it, element.innerText equals to something, it will simply change it. Are we cleared, guys? Everyone, are we cleared? Okay. So that's what inner text is. Is using var bad practice? No, it's not a bad practice. It's simply deprecated. So I'm going to tell you what first of all, I'll tell you what is the difference between var and let, and then we'll start using let. So it's not a bad practice. It's simply, it's deprecated. There were few issues with var that have been solved in let, and I'm going to explain you that. Don't worry. Okay. Cool. Let's move ahead now, guys. Let's move ahead. Now, let's say I have a div. Okay. Let's say I have a div here, and let me remove everything now. Okay. Let me remove everything so that we start from the scratch now. Okay. Or let's not remove everything. Let me comment it so that if I share the file, you have the code with you. Okay. You have the code with you. Now I'm creating a div, and let me give it a class for CSS. So let me give it a class of 1 and also ID of 1. So I'm going to use ID to fetch it in JavaScript. I'm going to use class to apply some CSS. That's all. I go here. I'm going to write some style to it. So style dot 1. That means I'm applying some styling to it. to the one element. So I'm going to give it a height of 200 pixels, width of 200 pixels, and background color of red. Let's see. Here we go. We have the element. Okay. Now let's fetch this element in the JS. Comment this out. I'll just keep it for you so that in future you can reference to it. Now let's fetch that element. Now you guys are gonna help me. How can I fetch this element using its ID in JavaScript? Come on, guys. Write it in one line. Come on, guys, because I'm gonna explain you now how inner HTML works and what is the difference between inner text and inner HTML. So now, guys, you tell me, how can I fetch this element using its ID? If var is deprecated, how could you use it so confidently now? Sujal Khatiwada, I think you are not a problem, buddy, not a problem. See, when we start with JavaScript, we start with where, because it's simply deprecated. It's not like you should not use it. It's not causing any error. It's simply for the beginners to understand what is the difference. If we don't use where, if we don't understand the issues, see, guys, when people start learning, they are not working, right? They are learning. So we also need to understand the bad things. We also need to understand the good things. So we start with the bad things, we see the problems, then we compare it, then we learn the bad things. And I think that's how we work, right, Sujal? And I think that's how you haven't learned. So that's a really important thing, Sujal. Okay, buddy? So please focus. You'll understand what is the difference, buddy. Don't worry. Okay, guys, can we move ahead now? Okay. So we have the answers, right? Document.get. Yep, that is pretty cool. That's how we get it. So let's get it. So let's say var ELE, you can name it anything again. So you can name it D, it's totally fine. Equals to document dot get element by ID and simply put what? 1. And now we should get that div. Let's confirm if we are getting it. Console.log D. Save it and let's see. And here we go. We have the div here. That's pretty cool, right, everyone? Yep, correct. You guys are really correct. You guys have given the correct answer. So that's really impressive that you guys are understanding everything. So now we have the div here, everyone. Now, I don't want to print it. I want to put some text inside it. Okay, I want to put some text inside it. So I do this d dot, that is the element, dot inner text equals, I put hello. Save it. We can fetch by ID and also class name. Yes, why not? Zaid, yes, why not, buddy? Why not? Yes, we can do it. I'm going to show you that as well. Don't worry. Here we go, guys. We have the hello here. That's cool. We understand. That's perfect. So we put a hello using JavaScript inside the div. Now, what if I decide that, okay, I want to put an H1 with the hello. I want to put an H1 with my hello. What should I do? Okay. So I decided, okay, can I do this? H1 slash H1. Like, I'm just thinking, can I do this in inner text? And what if it goes on the page and H1 gets treated as the proper H1 and my text becomes bold and big? Will it work? Let's see. Save it. And here we go. It's not working. It is not working. That means inner text treats your tags also as text. That means for inner text, everything is text. For inner text, everything is text. And that's why for purposes like this, where we want the HTML tags to be treated as HTML tags and text to be treated as text, we have something called as inner HTML. And that's it. Save it and let's see it now. And here we go. Now H1 is actually working. Now H1 is actually working. So that's the difference between inner text and inner HTML. Inner text will treat everything as a text. See, both are almost doing the same thing. Both are either extracting the content, getting the content from the tag, or putting the content in a tag. But in inner text, you can only pass text. But in inner HTML, you can either pass text or tags, because tags get treated as tags in inner HTML, in the inner HTML. Okay? So are we cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? So whenever you want to pass some HTML tags, you use inner HTML. But when you want to pass simply normal text, you can simply use inner text. And yes, inner HTML can also work for text. So you can use inner HTML for all the things. That's totally fine. But normally go for inner text, because inner HTML goes with several more rounds so that it can understand that if you have tags or not. So try to use, because inner HTML is a little costly. It takes like it has a little higher performance, like what do you say, uh, it consumes a little more compiling time than inner text, because inner text understand that everything is text, but in inner HTML there are two things. It has to understand what is text and what is HTML. So there's more rounds of compilation in that. That's why for text go with inner text, and for inner HTML, for H1 go with inner HTML, for tags go with inner HTML. Why div change position? That's normal HTML, because H1s by default have a margin. That's why. Okay, Hari? Because H1s by default have a margin. That's why. H1s by default have a margin. That's HTML thing. Don't worry about it right now. Don't at all worry about it right now. Is that clear, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Not exactly extra memory, extra compiling time. Because see, inside the inner HTML functionality, there might be some code running behind it, right? Some understanding. Right? Okay, fine. I want to separate the HTML properly. I want to treat the text separately. So there might be more compiling rounds in that. And that's why for text, go for inner text. And for HTML, when you're confirmed that you have HTMLs with your text, then go for an HTML. Okay, so it's not exactly extra memory. It's simply like extra compilation time that you can't see right now, but when your code is big, then you'll understand the performance thing going on there. Okay. Every element in HTML has by default margin and padding. Nope, that's not correct, Sujal. That's not at all correct. Not every element has by default margin and padding, right, Suraj? Sorry, Sujal, not. Okay. So if you're not understanding, please ask questions. That will be a good thing. Okay. So no, not every element, not at all every element has by default margin and padding. Nope. Remember that, Sujal. Okay, guys, can we move ahead now? As we can change the data in HTML source code. Okay, that's really cool doubt, Purandar. I'll tell you. See, here we are manipulating it dynamically. If you simply change in code, it's static. That means it will be there. What if I want to change it on the go? That's where we use JavaScript, Purandar. That's where we go for JavaScript, because we want to manipulate it dynamically. Right? If you want to change something on click or on mouse functionality, you can't go in code and change it, right? So that's why we have JavaScript. Okay, and that's why we have to learn how to manipulate things using JavaScript. Okay, everyone? Can we change CSS? Yes, yes, yes. That's what we're going to learn. But are we clear with all these things, guys? Everyone, are we cleared? Everyone, please tell me, are we cleared? Can we move ahead now? Because I'm going to teach you how to change CSS and also how to change the attributes, all of that. I'm going to teach you all about manipulation. So right now it was just content manipulation, but we are going to also see how to manipulate CSS. We're also going to see how to manipulate what you call attributes. So all of that. So everyone, are we cleared? What is the use of div ID? We use ID to fetch the element, right? Guru Shanta, we use ID to fetch the element. We use the ID to fetch the element. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, let's move ahead now and let's see what if I want to manipulate, but no. Okay, before moving on to manipulating the CSS, let's do something really cool. Let's do this. Let's say now you guys have learned the concept of functions, right, everyone? You guys have learned the concept of functions. Okay, so let me do this thing. Let me put this code inside a function and let me name it do something. Let me name it do something. Now, if I put it inside the function, that means now it will not work by default. Now this code will not work by default. See, this code is not working by default. So if I put this inside a function, that means, see, we have learned it. I think you have learned it yesterday that for the functions to work, you have to call them, right, guys? Everyone, can you explain how to get spelling mistake using program? Suppose if we have let's upgrade and another let's upgrade, that is something we have to make. Sir explained the functions right yesterday, guys. Everyone, okay. If you don't know it, don't worry. I'm going to tell you again. So functions are nothing but a block of code which have name mostly. Sometimes they are unnamed, but mostly they are named. So function is nothing but a block of code which have a name, and they don't get executed by default. You have to call them to use it. Okay, so sir has explained it yesterday. I'm assuming that, but I'm like just give you a simple example. So function is nothing but a block of code which mostly has a name, and then it doesn't execute by default. You have to call it. Okay, so to call it, you simply call the name. So you can simply call the name here, do something, and that's it. Save it, and here we go. Now it's working. But I don't want to call it here. I don't want to call it like this. What I want is I want to create a button, and what I want is if the user clicks on this button, then I want that function to work. Then I want that hello to appear here. Are you guys getting my point, everyone? What I want is when the user clicks here, then I want to call that function. Okay, everyone? That's what I want to do here. Okay, so how to do that? How to call a function on click of a button? So let's do it. You simply go here, and then there's an attribute named onClick. Put onClick attribute, and then call your function here, pass your function here. That's all. So simply take the name, paste it here, and here we go. Save it, and now see how it works. Now if I click on this button, that function will be called, and what that function is doing, it is doing nothing. It is basically printing hello with an h1 inside this red div. Here we go. Now it's working. So see, click and it works. That's how it works. Is that clear? Now what is this process called? This process is called event handling. So I just want to explain the concept of event handling. This process here is called what? It's called event handling. So what exactly are the components of event handling? So remember, there are always three components in event handling. So there is the event, there is the event listener, and there is the event handler. Please guys remember this. It's not good practice to attach inline event. Yes, we know, Sujal. Please, yes, we know, buddy. That's really cool. But I hope you got my answer in the first time only, right? We are going for beginners. This is really for beginners. Okay, Sujal. So if you're an expert, yep, don't worry, buddy. You know it all. I know that. You know everything. You know that every element doesn't have margin. That's cool, buddy. Not a problem at all. Okay, but please focus. This is all for beginners. So first of all, we have to go through this because this is basic JavaScript, right? And I think when you learned for the first time, you also were going through this also, right? Okay. So guys, let's move ahead. Okay. So basically there are three main components in event handling, and the three components are event listener, event handler, and the event. Now, what are it? Like how to understand what are these things? Okay. So remember, this is the button. Okay. And you are performing the event. So here click is the event. Whatever the user is doing is what you call the event. So when I click, that is the event that I'm performing. So click here is the event. I am performing the event, right? So I'm performing the event. So click here is the event, and the button is the event handler because that is what is handling the event. So user is the one that performs the event. So basically the click, the double click, the hover, all these are events. So the user performs the event, and on the element that we perform the event, that element is considered as the event handler. So in this case, the button is the event handler. So click is the event that I perform, button is the event handler, and whatever happens when the event is performed. So what is happening? This function is getting called. It means this function is getting called, it is doing the things, right? So this thing is the event listener. This listens, this does something when you perform the event. So event is what is performed, okay? And wherever you perform it, that's the event handler, and whatever happens when you perform the event, that has happened due to the event listener. So here the function is nothing but the event listener. Are we clear, guys? Everyone, please tell me, are we clear with this? Guys, are we cleared? Okay, so click is the event that we are performing, button is the event handler because we are performing it on that button, and then the listener, the function is the listener because that is getting called when the event is getting performed. Okay, sir, please explain window.y. Window.y, I think it, see, first of all, you should, for that you should know what is the window object. In JavaScript, window is like the parent object. Okay, but we right now we are not discussing all of that because that will make our lecture really tricky, because these are the essentials and we want to make it understand. But for you, just for you, I'm going to tell you, window is nothing but the parent of all the objects. Window is nothing but the parent of all the objects in JavaScript. It is the highest order object in JavaScript. So all this document, all this console, all of these objects come from the window object. Okay, so all of these objects come from the window. So everyone, are we cleared? Okay, that's really cool. So now we know how to click on something and how to do something, right? So that's what the basics of event handling, and yep, that's how we do it. Now there is one more way to do it, and remember guys, this is not the bad way, this is also the good way, and a lot of people still do this. So don't ever think that this is the bad way. There is one more way that is considered that is a good way of doing it, but this is not the bad way. This is just an old way. But for startings, we should know this because this is how people have done it for years, right? So we should know this, all of this. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Now, let's manipulate the same element. Sujal, oh Sujal, my dear Sujal, object is the base object in Java, not in JavaScript. Okay, Sujal, buddy, here window is the object, not object. Object is the base object in Java language. I think you're getting confused in Java and JavaScript here. Okay. How to get an input in the browser and print it again? Let's do it. Let us do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, everyone. Now, everyone, are we clear with all this? Now we know how to fetch elements, right? Now we know how to fetch elements and how to manipulate the content. Now, let's see how to manipulate the attribute. And then after that, we'll also see how to manipulate the style. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go ahead and let's see how it works. Okay, so let's see how to manipulate the attribute of a tag. Just like we have learned how to manipulate the content of an element, let's see how to manipulate the attribute of an element. And for that, I'm going to comment all of this for some time. Let's comment all of this. And don't worry, I'm going to share you these files, and then you can uncomment and see everything. So let's comment out all of this and let's do it. Okay, so now let's see how to manipulate the attribute. So now for that, let me start with the input tag. So input is a element which has a lot of attributes. That's cool, right? So input, and let's say this is type is text, and let's say the placeholder I'm going to put as enter name. Okay, cool. Now let me also create a button here so that I can perform some event. Okay, so click here, simple. Let's see, and here we go. We have our input tag and we have our click here button. Okay, both the things we have. Let me just give an ID here. Let me just give an ID named INP. Okay, now I'm going to do everything inside a function so that everything happens on click. Okay, where can we find these codes which you're coding now? I'm going to upload all of this on the community, so don't worry guys. Okay, so let's get a function. Let's create a function and let's name this function as attribute, or let's say anything. Like for now, let's just simply say take value. Call it anything, but that's fine. Now guys, we are simply learning how to manipulate the attributes. Okay, and I'm doing it on the input element. You can also do it on the div element. You can also do it on the p element. You can also do it on the h1 element. Remember guys, if I work on any element, don't think that that thing will not work on any other element. If I'm working on the attributes of input element, you can apply the same logic and work on the attribute of any other element. Okay. Okay. Now let's go and see how does this work. So now, first of all, you guys tell me, how can I fetch this element using the ID? I think everyone knows the answer, right? How to fetch this element. So let's do it. Let's do it. Var INP equals document dot get element by ID INP. And that's how I'll get the input element. Let's confirm it by doing a console.log. Console.log INP. Save it. And let's see. If I click on it, am I getting the whole element? Oh, let's call it. I forgot to call the function. So let's call it. Let's go on the element and simple on click take value, and that's it. Save it and let's see if we get the element here. Same thing, just like we got the div. Here we go. We get our input element. We get the input element. That's cool. That's what we wanted. Now let's see if we can get any of the attributes by using by having the element. Can we actually get any of the attributes? So let's see. So now you can do this if you want. You can simply go inp. Now to access or to fetch any of the attributes of an element. Remember, once you have got the element, you can simply put a dot and then any attribute you want to access. Any attribute you want to access. Okay. So I can simply put, like, let's say type. Let's see if we get the type attributes value. Here we go. We get text. See, type was an attribute for the tag, right? Type was an attribute and the value was text. So we got it. You can simply use any of the attributes. Simply use any of the attribute. You can also go for I want to see the placeholder. So inp dot placeholder. That's all. Let's see. And here we go. This was the placeholder, right? So basically, I'm telling you that once you've got the element, you can use dot, and then after that, write any attribute, and you can fetch any attribute. Simple. That simple. So you can get the type, you can get the placeholder, you can get the ID as well. You can get the class. You can get, because all of these are attributes, you can get any attribute of it, and you can also change any attribute. Just like we fetch inner text, but we use equal to while changing it. We can also change any attributes by just applying equal to something else. We can also change it. So are we getting, guys? Are we getting? Are we understanding how to fetch the attributes, everyone? Guys, please tell me. Are we understanding how to fetch the attributes? So that's how you fetch an attribute of an element. Now, basically, we're going to learn. We're also going to learn how to change it. Don't worry. I'm going to show you something really cool just after some time. Don't worry. Just stick with me. I'm going to show you something really cool. But before that, I actually want to fetch something that user writes inside this. I actually want to fetch something that user writes inside it. How do I get it? How do I get it? So for that, we have to understand one really important thing here. Sir, can we change placeholder value using an HTML? Nope. Nope, Hari. No, no. Because placeholder is an attribute. It's not the content. Right, in Hari? Placeholder is an attribute. So you cannot change it using inner HTML. No, 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 not at all. You cannot change attributes values using inner HTML. Inner HTML and inner text are for content that are between opening and the closing of the tag. Placeholder, name, type, class, ID are attributes. So you cannot use inner HTML. Okay. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Now remember, guys, one really important thing. Whatever you write in the input tag, whatever you write in the input tag, there is also a value attribute in input tag. And inside this attribute, all of that thing goes. So whatever you write here in the input tag, even if you don't write the value attribute, remember internally, each and every content goes inside the value. Okay. So yes, guys, if you're confused with inner text, don't think. Inner text is not the one that holds the value. Value attribute is the thing that actually holds the value that you write inside this. So even if you don't write it, write some content, internally it goes to the value attribute. Always remember this. It goes to the value attribute. And we know if value is the attribute, we can simply write inp dot value. That's it. If value is that, just like placeholder was an attribute, so dot placeholder. So if value is an attribute, dot value, just like dot id, dot class, dot type, dot value. Simple. So remember, guys, even if you don't write the value attribute, don't worry. Whatever you write in the text box goes to the value attribute. So we can use the value attribute to get the data. Now let's see if we're getting it. Let's try it. Saurabh. Click, and here we go. Change it. Here we go. Guys, are we cleared? Everyone, are we cleared how to get the text of an input tag or input element, whatever you call it? Is that clear, guys? Are we cleared, everyone? Are we cleared with this? Please tell me, because I also want to teach you something else really cool. So are we cleared with this, everyone? Please tell me really fast. Are we cleared? Guys, everyone, are we cleared? Okay, that is really good, guys. That is really great. Okay, so that's how. So never think of inner text here. Never think of inner text. Okay. See, guys, always remember inner text and inner. I want to just make it clear so that there is no confusion in future at all. I want to just clear something. Remember, inner text and inner HTML always work with the things that are between the tags. Okay, so always remember inner text and inner HTML work with the things that are between the tag, between the opening tag and the closing tag. Okay, so never think of inner HTML, inner text if you don't want to work with the content between the tag. Okay, never think of it. And you see that input tag is an empty tag. That means it doesn't have any slash input. It doesn't have any content. So that means, first of all, the concept of inner text and inner HTML never should come here, because input tag is a empty tag. It doesn't have any slash input or content between it. So there is no need of inner text or inner HTML. So always remember this. So how to get input value in any variable? Then simple, right? It should be simple. So instead of printing it, store it in a variable. That's all. Let's say var data, and that's it, done. Okay. So instead of printing it using the console.log, I simply store it input.value into a data variable. And now I can pass this data variable anywhere, anywhere. Okay. So now let's say I have a h1 tag here. Okay. I have a h1 tag here. Okay. And let's say name will be here. Some content. Okay. Some content. And let's give it an ID. So ID of name. Okay, so I give an ID of name. So what I want here is, what I want now is, whatever name I write here, if I click on the button, the name should be displayed here. Do you guys want to learn calculator as your project? We can do that tomorrow, not a problem at all. Okay, guys. So everyone, please do this on change. Yes, we can do that, Mritunde. Yes, we can do that. But we have not learned that event till now, right? So we have to learn it. Don't worry. Okay, guys. So now by other people, so people doesn't get into trouble when they say it's for the first time. I don't think text content is one of the most used properties, I think, right? Because when you go for React, when you go for attribute binding, and when you go for like a property binding things, text content is one thing that is really ignored there, right, Sujal? So I think text content is not the most used what do you call, the property in JavaScript, I think, Sujal, because I have used it like that, because even the frameworks ignore them. So I think, yep, it is better to be ignore that. Okay, Sujal. Okay, guys, so let's see the last thing now. So now what I want to do is, I simply want to put this data in here, where I have written this name will be here. I simply want to put that data there. Okay, so how to do that? And we have learned it how to do that, right? So let's fetch that element. Document. See what ID I have given to that element? Name, right? Document dot get element by ID name dot inner text equals the data. Simple. Done. And now let's see what happens there. So basically, whatever data I get from the input value, I put it in the h1 using this inner text thing. Save it, and let's see now. So let's see. Saurabh. Here we go. Anything. Let's say Ashutosh. Here we go. So that's how you do it. Everyone, are we clear with this, guys? So that's how you take an input value, and that's how you print it somewhere. Simple inner text, because it's a text after all. Right, everyone? So guys, are we cleared? Everyone, are we cleared with all the things that we have like did today? Because we're almost on time, like about time. Now you guys tell me, because someone like told me to like create calculator. So do you guys want calculator as your project? Do you guys want calculator as your project? Or do you guys okay, first of all, let you guys tell me, do you want calculator as your project? Come on, tell me, guys. So we can do that, not a problem at all. So I want to make sure that, do you guys need that? Do you guys want the calculator as a project? Everyone. What if we write inner text plus equal to data? Others, then whatever is there already, it will be added. It will be appended. So the new data will be appended to the already present data. That's what will happen. Something big. No, game project. Game as project. Snake game. Snake game will be really tough for you guys to understand at the start. Don't worry, because we make it in our advanced sessions where you come and learn everything. But I don't think the snake game will be really cool thing, because that will be really tough for you to understand. Because see, what we have to make something from whatever we have learned. Okay, so that is when the project will actually become a good thing for you, good learning for you. Okay, let me tell you what I'll make. I will teach you. Uh, we don't have a lot of time tomorrow. We have only 1.5 hours, so we can't create something very big. But we are not going to create very small thing either. We're going to create something cool. So what I'm going to teach you is, we will display a data, and I'll show you how to create a search filter. What do you guys say? How to create a search filter, a type ahead search. You type searching, you start typing, and this searching will like search the data and display it for you. What do you guys say? Guys, so I will learn how to display data. We'll have a lot of data tomorrow, so we'll learn how to display that data in a table format, or maybe not in a table format, in a really cool format. Okay, don't worry, I'll show you. We will display our data in a really cool format, and I'll teach you how to create a search functionality. What do you guys say, everyone? Maybe weather app. Yes, Mrityunjay, but then we also have to learn the networking thing, how to like fetch the data, and then I have to explain about the promises and all stuff, right? And that is something I don't want right now, because see, if we had the 4 days, then I would have explained you, and then we would have done it. But now, right now, we don't know all about networking. We have to create our project based on whatever we have learned. That's when the project will mostly benefit you guys. Okay. So I'm going to teach you how to create a really cool search functionality, and don't worry, we're going to make it really look good. So I'm going to teach you how to make a really cool superhero search functionality. What do you guys say? We'll display a lot of superheroes. So we'll have a collection of superhero. We'll display a lot of superhero cards, and we'll make a search for that. What do you guys say? Everyone? We have to learn API for weather project. Um, hmm. Okay. So after the search, even if we have like 15 minutes time, I'll tell you how to fetch the data of the weather API. Everyone? Okay. So first we'll make a superhero searching system. So don't worry, guys, please don't think only about the search there, because I'm also going to show you how to display the superheroes in the best format possible. I'm going to show you that as well. And I'll come up with a really cool superhero data where it will display everything: energies, powers, fighting skills, combat, and what do you guys say? Stamina, durability, speed projection, everything. Will display everything, and then we'll create a search filter. And at the end, if we get time, I'll also teach you how to create, how to fetch the data for the weather API. Don't worry about that. If I want to show another HTML page to show, what can I do? Rahul, for that, you can use window.location. You can simply use location. Yes, Omkar, we can also go for products. And don't worry, our project will be really dynamic. So we have not prepared anything. We'll just come tomorrow and we'll start everything from scratch. So don't worry at all. We are going to start from the very scratch, from creating the folders. So don't worry, we are not going to be prepared for anything. We'll come tomorrow and we'll together make the project. Okay, everyone? Okay, so that's it for today. We are about time. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for understanding everything and learning with me. And tomorrow we'll create something really cool from whatever we've learned. Okay. Yesterday's assignment, I think you have completed it or not. You guys have completed it or not? Because the next assignment that I'll give you will be the project. So whatever I'm going to create tomorrow, you have to take 2 days and create it. So that will be the assignment. Is front end web development? No, everything is available. Everything is available. The entire full stack is available. And I teach that. So yes, the entire full stack is available. Okay, everyone. So that's it, guys. That's it. Tomorrow you're gonna get your assignment. Tomorrow I'm gonna give you the project as the assignment, and tomorrow we're gonna make something really cool. So thank you so much. I hope that you guys will be really there tomorrow, and please ask your friends and everyone to also come up because we're gonna build really cool things tomorrow. So thank you so much, guys. Bye bye, everyone. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye, everyone. Good night.